people, and especially the successful people, they've got a mindset that is successful. And then on the other hand, I see brokers, and I speak to many brokers every week, who aren't achieving the results that they want. And for them, they've got all the ingredients, they think they want it, but at the end of the day, the habits and what they're doing within their business day in, day out means that they're not pushing themselves. They're not changing their results because they're not getting out of their comfort zone. And there's many things that, we get trapped in, right? So whether it's the fear of sort of letting go, whether it's the fear of investing, whether it's the fear of rejection, or maybe it's they just don't have the skills because they don't have the habit of doing the right things and educating themselves and seeking out the right mentors within their business to be truly successful. So, such an important topic because success has to happen internally before you can get it externally. So how much focus are you putting on getting your mindset right so you can get the results on externally? So Michael Jordan says, look, if you want to achieve great things, you've got to have that belief that you can achieve those great things first before it happens. So what I want to talk today about is some strategies on, one, let's identify some of those strategies of the top brokers and have a look at what are some of the things and share some stories about, what worked in our career and the brokers that I'm working with that are doing the 100 mil plus, and what are some common sort of mindset of these sort of superstar brokers, so you can sort of start to think, what are the areas that I can sort of work on in myself and change some of those things. So let's talk about the habits of a top broker, and then we can talk about ways where we can go about instilling these habits and what we really need to look at. Right, so if I start with number one, is top brokers have a positive mindset. They are positive, even as things change, they either win or they learn. So there's Carol Dweck in the book Mindset talks about you either have a growth mindset, and by having a positive mindset, you have a growth mindset about you. So they take positive action, so the positive actions get to the positive results. There's plenty of negatives that we can focus on, and there's plenty of stresses in a mortgage broking business. We've got the stress of deadlines, we may have the stress of finances, we may have the stress of some clients, we may have staff stresses, we may have home life in terms of stress. So there's plenty of negatives that we could choose to focus on, where top brokers choose to focus on having that growth mindset and focusing on the positives. And those focus on the positives leads them to doing the positive actions. All right, which leads to the next point is they believe in themselves. They have that belief that no matter what happens, they're on a journey, that they're going to be successful. It's not a matter of how, it's a matter of when, right? So again, because they've got the eye on the prize, they are not wanting it, they are actually being it and doing the actions that it takes because they have that self-belief. The next point is they view their clients as peers, right? So whether they're sitting in front of the top real estate agent in the country or whether they're sitting in front of a client, these people, they're talking on a level, they're talking with confidence, and sales is really a transfer of energy. And because that confidence flows in their conversation, the clients will pick up on it. Whereas, some of the brokers that I've worked with, and we had some brokers in our business, and I would have a conversation or do a role play with them, and I wouldn't take a loan from them because they don't exude that confidence because they're not speaking peer to peer, right? So I think it's important that in your sales process and when you're talking and when you're interviewing referral partners, you're not going with putting your hand out. You're speaking peer to peer. So another trait of top brokers is they fail forward, right? They learn from their mistakes and they see mistakes in their business as an opportunity. And it's similar when they hire people, right? A lot of times when you hire a staff member, in terms of, yes, they're not going to do it as well as you. And one thing about learning is when you learn, you're going to make mistakes. And you've got to be okay with that and embrace that in your business and in your culture, that, hey, mistakes are going to happen, but we're going to meet on a regular basis and we're going to learn from these mistakes and we're going to grow together. And sort of understanding that in their business, because getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things is the formula to success. So yes, we're going to try a lot of stuff and some of that stuff isn't going to work, but I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And so I think that's the next point that I want to highlight, is they learn from their mistakes. The next thing is they work hard, right? And what I mean by working hard is they have daily disciplines and they're productive within their time at work. So they have their time scheduled and structured, but they work on the right activities. And to give you an example of the right activities, so for me in my business, there was 3 areas that I wanted to focus on. One was the dollar productive activity. So that's your prospecting, it's meeting with clients, it's meeting with your referral partners. 2, it's working on developing better systems and processes. And 3, it's growing your team. And most top performers understand these and understand out of all the tasks, these are the 3 areas that are going to move the dial most for them within their business. Next is they're specific on what they need to achieve, right? They understand what their goals are and they understand that applications and settlements are just a result, right? They understand how many leads do I need to generate a day, and they'll allocate the right amount of time and resources to help them achieve their goals, because they know that activity creates results. So if they focus on the activity, they're going to get the results. And when you break it down, most of you only need 1 or 2 leads a day in order to achieve the big goal that you want to achieve. Next thing top brokers do is they seek out mentors. They seek out people to help. So whether that's someone a couple of steps ahead in the journey, whether that's somebody like myself and they join one of the programs to keep them accountable, and the results and the performance that people who commit and show up in our programs is way above. A lot of my clients are having record months now, whereas some of the other people I speak to in the market have seen a dip to 20 or 30% in terms of what they did last year. So they seek out mentors, people that can accelerate their growth in the business. They also educate themselves. I did an intensive last week and we had a couple of guests. So I had Aaron Christie David and Ben Kingsley. And I'm always fascinated about how people develop themselves. And both of them had rituals, daily rituals, where they would educate themselves. They'd listen to books, they'd listen to podcasts. I know Aaron was doing a book club with his staff where they were taking a personal development book and working with that with the staff. And I thought that was a great idea. I think he was doing 7 habits at the time. So they educate themselves on a regular basis. So they practice who, not how. So they don't think, how am I going to get all this done? How am I going to get the admin? How am I going to get the loan processing done? They focus on who can I get to help me with this process. And they'll focus their energy on the things that is in their zone of genius. So who, not how, is the next point. The next thing you'll find with top brokers, the habit is they're heartfelt and they're passionate, right? They want to serve a bigger purpose than themselves. And it's that, heartfelt drive and passion that fuels what they do within their business. Next thing is they're not transactional, they're relational. They work to challenge and educate their clients in terms of creating new opportunities for business. Because they're curious and they take a broader view on the client's deeper needs. So whether that's creating a legacy for the family, whether it's financial freedom through property investment, whatever it is, they focus on the service and focus on the client first and the transaction second. For me, I would go through someone's goals, and that may be an income goal, maybe it's a 2 million net asset position, maybe it's $100,000 in passive income. And then we go through the goals, we clarify it down into the structure, we educate them in terms of what's possible. And the last thing that we talked about, and it wasn't even a thing, because we'd educated them on the value and the value that we provided in their service and that long-term vision in terms of what they want to create, the last thing that came up was rate. And I see too many brokers today where they're transactional and they're teaching their clients to shop them on one thing, and that one thing is rate. How can you get below the surface and offer more value to clients and really, have that deep relationship value rather than a transactional level? So they schedule time is the next point, right? They schedule time, and especially time for the dollar productive activities. They schedule time in which they're available to do appointments, whether they use a calendar system or something like Calendly. They'll be available for certain times for certain activities. Having that structure and discipline in their day actually creates freedom. And if you can do this, you'll get way more done because you know what you've got on for that day. So there's some of the habits that some of the top brokers that I see have in the marketplace today. So if we sort of look at, well, what can you do, right? What can you do to really work on yourself and work on the areas within your business where you can grow? So again, I think you need to be aware, right? Awareness is the key, right? We all sort of jump in the car and, we may be chatting to someone and we get to our destination and we don't even realize how we got there, right? It was unconscious. We're driving our lives in an unconscious manner. And the problem when we're unconscious is, we have a negativity bias. So, the unconscious tends to, stick to things. Maybe it happened 2 years ago, maybe it happened when you were 5 years old, right? And sort of these subconscious will trigger these feelings and emotions, and then the thoughts will get amplified, and then it'll keep us stuck, right? And we will see ourselves falling down the same traps day in, day out, because we don't have the level of awareness in terms of what's stopping us, in terms of the unconscious habits that we've created within our business. So in order to provide and to create the habits in your life that a top broker does, what is your ways to create these habits? James Clear in his book, The Atomic Habits, mentions that, hey, we don't rise to our goals, we fall to the level of the systems. And when you look at the definition of what a habit is, and I've got a definition here that I'll read out to you. It's a routine behavior that is regular and tends to occur subconscious. So if we look at that, it's a routine, it's a behavior, it's repeated, and it acts subconsciously. So how can we create new things within our business, within our life? How can we create new habits in our life and our business that are going to serve us, so they can perpetuate themselves, right? So we've got to, come up with a way of installing, deciding what those new habits are, but installing those in the business. Robin Sharma in his 5 a.m. Club says there's, 4 things that you need, right? You need a trigger. So maybe that's an alarm, maybe it's a beep on your phone, maybe that's a ritual, and we need a reward, right? So the trigger, we need a ritual, so that's the actual set of behaviors that you do day in, day out. You need the reward, so what's either the bigger reward that's going to bring, or maybe it's I do 50 minutes of calls and then I take 10 minutes and I'm going to treat myself with my favorite coffee. I'm going to go for a walk, get out, stretch the legs, get a coffee, and that's my reward for doing the behavior. And then what's the repetition? How often am I going to repeat it so it gets ingrained as a habit? So I've got some information on this. If you want, just type habit in the chat and I'll make sure we get you the freedom formula, I'm calling it, so that will help you to quickly install this into your business, because I think this is going to be key for you to be able to install that into your business. So then, to really identify those things that are holding you back, the key thing in anything in life comes down to your awareness. So, how you get to that state of presence and be aware of the things and reflect on those things that are getting in the way of you being successful. So at the moment, we've all got positive habits and we've all got negative habits. So I want you to identify both what your positive habits are and what your negative habits are. And because if we can start to bring some awareness and bring some presence to our day, then we're going to have an amazing ability to implement new things. And again, success is a system. If you want to be successful, you can study what people ahead of you have done and implement the systems that they've implemented in their business, and you will achieve the results. It's not rocket science. It's a matter of really having that focus, deciding that first of all, hey, I don't want to be a top broker. I'm deciding to be a top broker. Deciding to be a top broker means to bring on the habits and do the actions that a top broker would take to achieve the results. And it's going to feel painful. Right? Robin Sharma talks and says the habit installation takes 66 days, and those first 22 days are like a mild form of torture, right? So when you get out of your comfort zone, it's not going to feel comfortable, but it's the repetition, it's doing the activity, it's doing the habits that are going to get you success in your business that is going to help take your business to the next level. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'm Ross LeCain, the founder of the $1 Billion Broker. Again, if you want a copy of the guide, type habit in the comment below, and I look forward to chatting to you soon. And till next time, we'll see you then.